Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial. This video is the continuation video after Dragon Princess True Power. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. And please check out my second channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensei. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. Velda could create a god-class armament with his own ability. And then, the sword dance began. A disconnected space that would cut anything that came into contact with its circumference was formed due to Velda and Milim's sword fight. Milim had finally set foot into the same domain as Velda. Milim cornered Velda inside the deadly space just for the two of them without room for anyone to interfere, where they put all they got into their deadly sword that would break each other's barrier with one blow. While on the other hand, Velda, he felt the signs of his plan collapsing while taking on Milim's pure will. He had lost the superiority in war potentials and had now been cornered. Although he couldn't kill Milim, who is his capture target, Milim's greatly increased strength made it hard for Velda to go easy on her. It didn't mean Velda was out of options, but his pride hindered him from carrying them out. However, it seemed it wasn't the time to say that stuffs with how things turned out now. Even now, the pressure transmitted from the fierce sword exchanges was increasing even further. Just like piercing through the gaps of his focus, Milim's kick hit Velda's stomach. How troublesome. Velda changed his thoughts as if throwing them away. Milim was absolutely necessary for Velda's goal, thus he couldn't kill her. Having said that, there was a risk that Milim would eventually gain enough strength to match his if he kept fighting like this. Moreover, whether they were preparing for an unforeseen situation or not, the two true dragon sisters were glaring at the battlefield. Velzard's support of Milim earlier was also annoying. His attacks to disempower them couldn't completely break through Velzard and Milim's defenses. When he glanced to see the battlefield's current situation, Guy and Rudra were fighting on equal terms. Damorada and Kondo seemed to be overpowered, meaning that at this rate their defeat was only a matter of time. I guess it's time. The fight with all of the war potentials has been exhausted, the Great Heaven Monster War is over. As Kagurazaka Yuki's last wish, Velda had completely carried out the Great Heaven Monster War. He was at a disadvantage in the game, but the result wasn't out yet. That's why Velda came to a decision. He would unleash all of his power and achieve his goal all at once. Diablo calmly took a stance and observed Damorada. Just with reproduced memories, Damorada could freely use the same techniques as when he was alive. It seemed his energy had greatly increased and his ultimate gift was reproduced as well. Even with simple calculations, it could be sensed that his energy was almost twice of Diablo's. Kufufufu, wonderful. He's perfect as an opponent. Diablo was grateful for his good luck. He devoted himself to training every day to be of use to Rimuru, his master. Developing a new type of magic or training their combat techniques, such things were what everyone was doing if they were Rimuru's subordinates. However, Diablo was different. He just accompanied Rimuru, who developed new techniques with a flash of inspiration. However, that wasn't something that anyone could do. That was because the terrifying power of the new techniques could greatly affect someone even when holding back after all. Diablo was one of the few people who could participate in such experiments calmly. Then, while he was accompanying Rimuru in such recklessness, he realized that his magic theory was more refined than before and his strength changed. Yes, someone's strength wasn't determined just by the magnitude of their energy. How it was used is more important. The most important thing is to eliminate wasteful usage and bring forth the greatest effect even when using a small amount of energy. It would be a different story if someone had magic power generator which could amplify magic essence endlessly like Milim. But thinking with an out-of-norm being like her as the base was wrong. That's why Damorada was a perfect opponent for Diablo. From Diablo's judgment, if he fought both Damorada and Kondo at the same time, his winning percentage was about a bit over 50%. He could risk his life and put everything he had to see the path to victory by any means. Unfortunately, he couldn't carry out Rimuru's order with that method. That would be pointless. However, such worries were also unnecessary as Diablo expected. Veldora and the others had arrived with perfect timing. As expected of Rimuru-sama, Diablo was satisfied and observed Damorada. He would be at a disadvantage if he fought both Damorada and Kondo, but if it was just Damorada alone, the story would turn out differently. Damorada's energy was nearly twice of his and his combat skills surpassed Ultima. However, there was no problem at all. Diablo as a demon, melee combat was no more than mere child's play for him. Magic is the basic combat technique for a demon, which is a spiritual life form. Now that Diablo obtained an ultimate skill, his magic has shown further growth. Even the size of energy is no longer a problem. He could circulate his energy with the highest efficiency to control the consumption. He produced a fully harmonized effect that could also be applied to melee combat techniques. Diablo parried Damorada's masterful attacks while supporting his own body by activating partial strengthening. He compensated for the big difference in energy by offsetting the power and technique behind Damorada's fists and kicks with his fists and kicks, which were strengthened with magic. That was the completed magic melee combat technique, which combined magic and techniques. Testarossa and the others were speechless while looking at the combat techniques, which were probably based on a new theory. Even the recovering Ultima was amazed and watched the fight between Damorada and Diablo with intense concentration. For this reason, Diablo decided to show what he could really do. I enjoyed this fight very much. You were perfect as a training partner, but let's end this soon. I shall show you what I can really do as my thanks for hurting Testarossa and the others. Diablo declared the end of the match and refined his magic power to the maximum with ultra-fast magic power excitation. Diablo's energy broke free of its maximum value immediately. He had drawn an equivalent amount of energy to his maximum energy out from Rimuru's Nihility collapse. Besides that, he absorbed the surroundings particles and instantaneously reinforced his body. He reconstructed a strong body that could withstand handling a high amount of energy by taking in the matter from his surroundings. That was completed in a blink of an eye. Without any time lag, Diablo transformed into his combat form. And that was Diablo's ultimate form. While wearing a cool smile, Diablo dealt with Damorada's kicks. Unlike earlier, Diablo easily stopped Damorada's full-powered kicks with one hand. The reason was simple and clear. His energy had doubled and it became possible for him to bring out the same strength as Damorada. However, considering they fought each other evenly when Diablo was at half of his energy, it could be said that the outcome was already clear as day. As a human, you were a wonderful expert. If you still had your soul, it might become a more interesting fight. However, that's nothing more than a what-if situation. The result won't change. Diablo completely overpowered and crushed all of Damorada's attacks. Damorada just indifferently repeated his attacks without emotion. But Diablo had read him thoroughly and lost interest in this fight. Let's end this now. Celestial End. An annular magic circle completely covered up the surface of Damorada's body. Without any words. Without any fear. Without any grief. Damorada just quietly became light particles and disappeared. Then, all of the particles were absorbed into Diablo through the annular magic circle. At the same time as Damorada disappeared, Diablo released his combat form. Although he used it composedly, the burden of magic power excitation wasn't low. Above all else, Diablo poured the collected energy flowing out from Damorada into Temptation World he created. Although he intended to absorb the energy with different qualities slowly, handling the energy of Nihility collapse he borrowed from Rimuru at the same time was beyond the tolerable capacities even for Diablo. In contrast with End of World's main purpose of large-scale destruction, Celestial End's main purpose is to convert the target into energy and absorb it. If you considered the power, End of World was higher, but Celestial End was better as an anti-individual attack. Diablo, you. Testarossa called out Diablo. Kufufufu. As expected, I was too greedy to steal the energy. I'm not good enough. It seems I'm far behind Rimuru-sama. What was that technique just now? It looked like magic, but that's right. It's the fusion of ultimate skill and magic in its evolutionary series. I learned it while cooperating with Rimuru-sama, who had developed it for fun. Because it's still an incomplete technique, a stable usage is still difficult. That's not fair, it's just you who. Kufufufu, that's the perks of it. After all, this new technique style was a magic theory created in joint development with Rimuru, who Diablo admired. Although, to be precise, it was Seal not Rimuru, but that wasn't things Diablo was concerned with. Well, I shall teach you guys once this magic theory is completed. In the end, Testarossa and the other two's pursuit didn't end until Diablo promised so. Veldora was fighting against Kondo. Velda had said Kondo and Damorada's energy were comparable to 10 awakened demon lords, but the energy didn't actually reach that number. From Veldora's calculation, the power was no more than half of that. Moreover, the quality of his ultimate skill seemed to have degraded. As such, Kondo couldn't execute attacks as he imagined. He was also given an ultimate gift like Damorada, but that was no more than a mass-produced type of pseudo-ultimate skill. Its crude performance couldn't be compared with the ultimate skill created by Kondo's soul. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my earlier videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my other channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.